Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview. This time covering VCT Americas Stage 1 for Week 5. My guest at this time is Superman of Evil Geniuses coming off of their match against Loud, in which they came out victorious 2-1 to thus finish their regular season with a 3-2 record and moving on to playoffs, of course. And so, Superman, congrats on the W. I mean, given the low stakes that this match had coming into this today, I mean, not many people would expect for it to go down to the absolute limit, but that's exactly what it did happen. But still, how are you feeling? What's going through your mind after finishing a tough series like that?
Honestly, yeah, like you said, there was no pressure for us whatsoever for the series, right? We already clinched playoffs, but the stage experience and us being able to climb back, being down, being able to climb back in the match was, that's the experience we need as a new team, coming into this BCC this season. So I'm really happy about what how, like about how we pulled back in that series and able to like clinch that W.
No, for sure. I mean, as I said, it was a match in which, I mean, it literally went to almost overtime for all three maps. Map two obviously went to overtime, and then map one and map three went through needed all rounds of regulation to find a winner. And like just to go through like that kind of like time frame, that kind of series. How much did that kind of affect the team's kind of mindset and also like physical form? Given that you guys literally had to dig deep to take down a team like Loud.
I mean, Loud is an amazing team, man. They have like some freaking shooters, right? Pancada, I think he went like plus 30 that series. Luxo, the new addition, he's a great player. Like they all have great players. There are a lot of great players on that team, so it was definitely a challenge for us. But like again, like I said, I'm happy, that they play good, but I'm happy that we were able to show what we showed and ask a group collectively, pull out that W together because man, we needed that one. Even though we don't need it for playoffs, because honestly, for me personally, I think people think that Crew had a bad game last week, right? So like it too loud. Maybe we don't deserve that playoff spot. So being able to beat them this week shows that the result last week did not matter, right? At the end of the day, we came through this week with no pressure, like again, but we showed them that we are the better team, and we did.
I will also say that like being able to finish this season with a W gives a lot of confidence, a lot of like good emotions heading into playoffs. Obviously it's good that you guys are experiencing that kind of thing right now, and like you kind of mentioned it right then and there earlier, piggybacking off one portion of your answer. Pancada went plus 30. Luxo went plus 15, and then like the highest plus minus that your team went through or has is yourself with a plus 2. And despite all of that, this team was able to claw out with victories. And so, at the end of the day, Superman, what do you feel set the difference for you guys to come out on top of this match?
We just came in today's with the expectation of coming out with a W no matter what, right? We're gonna try our hardest to win, and we did. I don't think there's like a biggest difference. I feel like this was like a confidence booster for us, going into the playoffs, coming up. So, so yeah, happy with the win.
Yeah, man. Like, I want to ask you just sort of like how um difficult it was to face Loud, given the changes that team has been having throughout this season. With the um transition of IGOs from Vinny to Pancada, and also the inclusion of Luxo and his individual prowess that he's been showing so far this season. What do you feel was the biggest aspect that stood out to you guys when it comes to facing Loud? In the preparation phase of this matchup, and how did that set like game plan transpire as the match went along, or more so evolved as the match went along?
One side note, you said that Pancata is Daggio, and he was
Yeah.
shooting like that. God damn! Hey, that boy got it all, man. Props to him. He was putting up one hell of a series of performance. But sorry, go back to your question. I feel like how we prep against Loud was exactly like how we prep against any other teams, right? Coming into this week. So, we and it doesn't matter what type of changes they made, throughout the season. We're still coming in following our game plan and executing our game plan well, to the best of our ability when we get into the server. So it does not bother us that they're changing players throughout each series and whatnot. We don't really let that affect us. We just focus on our game plan and yeah.
I mean, even your current stint with Evil Geniuses, I mean, although technically this match didn't really matter much, given that you guys already qualified for playoffs, but still, reaching playoffs, I believe this is the first time in which you guys are able to make that happen. Well, minus kickoff, because I believe you only had to play one match to
Yeah,
make it happen. So, I mean, the level of difficulty doesn't really compare to, in the regular season of the two stages of 2024 and also including right now. And so, it's been a journey for this team to finally make it to the next phase of a given regular season. So like just want to ask you sort of like the emotion as to like finally getting over the hump and just kind of like surpassing the mark that you guys been has set at the end of last season in which you guys weren't able to qualify for playoffs.
yeah. It's very unfortunate. Last season, I feel like the team didn't have enough time to mesh together. We were a whole new team with Jogamo and Coach Potter in the mix from the previous championship team. So it was us integrating into her system and building that chemistry and all that together. So it was. I'm just gonna put it on time. We didn't have enough time to make it happen last year. But this year, going into this year, we still had the core three. Me, Derek, Nature, and also Coach Potter, right? So we kind of know how her system works and stuff like that. So integrating the two new players was not like an issue at all. So just going forward, I feel like we have much more potential this year, to make events and stuff like that, in my opinion, because like we already got all the kinks worked out, throughout last season, right? So this year it's all about improving um and building on top of what we already built last year.
Speaking of improvement, you guys were put into an early regular season hole after losing to the likes of Sentinels and 100 Thieves with a 1-2 record. So, and you guys looked at, facing off against Crew and also Loud as like major hurdles to, in the road to making playoffs. I want to ask you sort of like when you guys finished week three with that lost Sentinels and having to move on to Crew and also Loud. What made the spark happen for you guys to make that turnaround from going 1-2 to now finishing 3-2?
That 1 and 2, I feel like after those two losses, especially the one after I think Sentinels was the one we played them third, right? I'm not sure. I think it
Yes.
was, yeah, it's 100 Thieves and Sentinels. So between those two matches, I feel like we didn't fully reset as a team. But after the Sentinels loss, we were able to have a couple days and fully reset and then realign our goals and get everyone on the same page. It's like um because like those two matches, I feel like we weren't playing like how we were doing in practice, right? And it showed the matches we were making new mistakes over and over again, costing us rounds. Um, so we just double down on during practice and make sure that we play like how we practice in the following matches.
And with all of that said, now you guys look into playoffs, awaiting the loser of I believe maybe MIB or Thieves or maybe Sentinels Cloud9. That's not really I'm not really 100% sure, who you guys going to face. But still, looking at your guys' journey from start of lower bracket all the way into maybe making masters. What do you feel is the team's confidence level at right now? In regards to potentially making that run, in the second phase.
I mean, we're confident, like we're gonna take one match at a time, right? Like, yeah, it sucks that we started in lower brackets, but we're still gonna give us our 150% no matter in each match and just take it one match at a time.
You got any personal favorites that you guys want to face in that first match of the playoffs?
Not really. I feel like whoever we play against, we're gonna be ready for them.
Okay, then let me flip the coin in that aspect. Then, do you have a team that you feel like do you have a team in which you think poses the biggest threat to you guys' potential bid for a run?
Okay, definitely. I think G2 will qualify through upper bracket But they G2 is definitely the best team in our region. So I mean, I feel like they are the biggest threat to everyone who goes against them, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna say G2.
Okay, fair enough. I do definitely understand that. And with that said, now you guys are looking into playoffs. From now until next week, what do you feel is the one thing that the team has to focus on, the most in order to be at tip-top shape for whoever comes next for you guys?
Yeah, we're just gonna go, about review the series that we just played, see the mistakes that we made because like, some of these mistakes were very, very fixable. I think it's like under pressure, that kind of things, right? So it's kind of like go over these mistakes and see how we react in this series, when we're under pressure and make sure we fix it for the next series.
And of course, hopefully you guys are able to do that much more sooner rather than later, of course. And so, Superman, thank you so much for the opportunity for this interview. Really do appreciate the answers regarding what happened today and also in the future and also in the past. And so that's it. I got nothing else to add other than say best of luck for playoffs and the journey ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Petro, for your time.